Good morning, I'm Jeff. I'm a Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 11450 Southwest Pintail Loop here in Beaverton. Located at the front of the home. We're off to the right of the front doorway by the bay window here. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running. Here we go. It looks like it transitioned there almost immediately upon access over to PVC pipe. And we just went through a section of some standing water, this spot right here. But we'll take a look at that on the way out when the line's all drained. We've got the sink running inside, so it's going to exaggerate any standing water we see by quite a bit. So we'll get it drained out here and then have a better look at that on the way out. Alright, here at 70 feet out, we've reached the main lateral out on Pintail Loop. We're going to let the line drain out here for a few minutes before pulling back. So the line is, looks like for the most part, drained out here. We had still a little bit of water trickling through. But it does look like we do have some standing water that extends out to the main here. You can see how that water is kind of floating and pooling there. There's not a terrible amount right here in this spot. But it's over a fairly good section of pipe. And we'll kind of give it an overall look here and see what we're working with. Now this is the first belly in the line here, and definitely it's done the most settling. You can see that joint just up ahead there has separated away. This whole section of pipe here is settled and dropped down, and you can clearly see that the joint there. It's separated by at least probably an inch. And the water level here is going up over the top of the camera lens, so that like right there was on the dot about an inch of standing water. It's not a terribly long section, and I mean overall we don't have 3 inches of standing water here for 20, 30 feet. That's just going to grab everything that comes through. The issue is we have a separated joint as well as standing water. The standing water here does not appear at this time to be causing a lot of debris to build up, but I don't know how many people are living in the house. A lot of times bellies can change the way they hold on to debris based on how people live. Some people just put different stuff down the line or are at home more than another family, so standing water can be kind of a tricky one to gauge how it's going to end up affecting the homeowner. This end section out here, the standing water, the worst it gets, I mean, it's barely up to the bottom of the camera lens. This is about 1/8 of an inch to maybe barely 1/4 of an inch. I mean, it persists from that separated joint all the way out here to 69 feet. I'd say the most important issue to deal with is that separated joint, so you're not letting water escape the line. I'm going to pull back here and locate at the separated joint. And it does look like it is actually transitioning here to a larger pipe. It's belling out. Well, this looks like 6-inch pipe here at this point. I'm going to locate right here. The separation's at 42 feet out. I'm going to pull back here a little bit and double check the depth. Where I'm picking this camera signal up is about 2 feet to the left of the tree and the boulder that are right in the front yard, right up next to the sidewalk, which is also next to a utility box and a bunch of electrical stuff. So anyway, I'm getting a depth there that's kind of bouncy, but it's hovering in the 12 to 13 feet deep area, so I'm going to double check that. Alright, I've moved the camera around a whole bunch here to try and get this thing located. The reason I was having trouble at the joint is it looks like where the separated joint is at is literally smack dab underneath the tree out there. So it's more than likely the tree that's actually putting all the pressure on this line here to shove it down and separate that joint. So what's especially concerning about that is at some point I can almost guarantee you're going to get a root intrusion through here. It's literally, the tree is right on top of this spot right here. So I do recommend a repair here. I would recommend consulting with the repair guys on how best to do that. I'm not sure if you should go with a sleeve or a liner. The liner is not going to fix the belly, it will seal off the joint. And you may need to kill the tree off. If you've got a tree that's doing this kind of damage to the line, you may have to just remove that tree altogether. Because if you do a repair here and the tree is still there, it may end up doing damage in other spots. So I would recommend getting this fixed. Beyond that, the standing water that's out here, in my opinion, there is not enough of it to really justify doing a repair this extensive. Most of this is going to be all under the street. It's just, and there's a little bit of debris in here, but not a whole lot. It's quite minimal. This is the kind of line where, as long as you're not flushing diapers and wads of big giant wads of toilet paper and paper towels and putting grease down the line, most everything else is going to make its way on out. I always recommend doing a rescope in 1 year after a line like this with a little standing water. It will give you an idea of how the lines how it is reacting to your living habits. And sometimes these lines need to be jetted out every 2-3 years just to keep some debris buildup to a minimum. It's just, to repair this, you're probably looking at a $10,000 job at least. And in my opinion, it's just the cost benefit is not going to pay off here. Where I think it will make sense though is fixing this joint. I very, very much believe that you're going to get a root intrusion in this separated joint here if you let this go for any much longer. So I do have a white X right up against the tree. Because it's smack dab under the tree, I cannot get a totally exact locate and depth there, but I'm getting it around 8 feet 5 inches deep just prior to the tree. So I would recommend doing relocates before digging. We got a lot of heavy rain right now. It's probably going to wash my paint away. It's just it's a precarious location, and it looks like it's around quite a lot of utilities. So I would definitely call for locates in a situation like this, just given all the circumstances here. And then you're going to have to consider whether you want to remove that tree. I would highly recommend it, as it looks like it's doing a considerable amount of damage at this point. Apart from that, once that spot there is corrected, ideally you dig down to it and fix the slope and grade there so you have no more standing water in that area. Once beyond that point, a 1/4 inch of standing water is very rarely going to cause any debris to collect. Which is why I'm not recommending repairing that standing water beyond that separated joint there. I do recommend a rescope after any repair work is done to make sure it was done correctly. And right out there, that tree right out by the sidewalk there, I'm pointing straight out, about 40 feet out, that's the tree the line goes underneath. Or just barely skirts to the side, but it's essentially going underneath it.